Hello adventurers, and welcome back to Tabletop Odyssey for another Battle Odyssey. Today I'm using Harold Tull for the first time to take on the Dreamer. The strategy for this mission is gather intel on corner deployment with a scheme pool consisting of power ritual, deliver a message, let them bleed, take prisoner, and in your face. Tull is taking let them bleed and take prisoner on the Bandersnatch, whilst Dreamer is taking let them bleed and deliver a message with Delirium. My Tull list today is Harold Tull 1, the Artillerist, with a lead-lined coat, walking cannons Ethel and Gertrude, Avel Ortega and his husband Domingo Montoya, a Sapper, 2 Hex Bows, and Jonathan Reichart with 4 stones spare. I didn't particularly have a great plan in mind here. I'm just kind of going for a lot of killing and trying to try out a lot of new models here. It's my first time with this crew, and while I have seen other people play it and played against it, trying it myself is a new board game. My opponent, he's decided to take the Dreamer 2 Insomniac, Lord Chompy Bits, Widow Weaver, Delirium, Teddy, 2 Daydreams, and 2 Wicked Dolls, with the Bandersnatch and 4 stones spare. After we deploy, the game begins, and the sitting Daydream is going to lead Chompy and the Widow Weaver forwards before lucid dreaming. Reichart walks, focuses and fails to drop some dust, while the Mohawk doll takes a run up field as Domingo, partner in crime Avel, bravados and walks to the assault marker. The Horn Dream then leads Chompy and Delirium into the fray before dreaming himself. Avel, partner in crimes Domingo, bravados and walks up himself. The Bandersnatch runs up, makes a web, while the Grey Bow walks up, heated battles for focus. Chompy goes on a rage, murders both of his wicked dolls for some scrap, and then dreams while Ethel bounces forward. A lot of forward movement here to get upfield. Widow Weaver then teleports to her web and turns the 2 scrap into a pair of stitched together. Eek! They now have a very big stone advantage here. Tull approaches the rest of his crew, fails an artillery strike and focuses up. The first stitch then walks and dreams while Gertie runs up too. Delirium does some running and dreams while the blonde bow walks, interacts and heat of battles for focus. The Dreamer is then going to bury while Teddy focuses and runs to cover. The last stitch walks and dreams, and then the Dreamer unburies next to Delirium, leads Nightmare twice and focuses. Turn 1 ends, and the brawl is certainly about to begin. My opponent has been very aggressive here. I'm a little bit worried about overextending, but with the amount of activations they have, I might not have a choice. The Bandersnatch is going to start turn 2 by running up and making a web before focusing. The Weaver is then going to jump to that web, run and make another web. Ethel will then take a pot shot at them, but fails terrifying twice. And then the Horn Dream responds by running and interacting in the corner, pretending to drop for power ritual. The Grey Bow then walks and running guns, putting some damage and burning into Teddy. The sitting Daydream, however, leads Chompy up and lucid dreams once more. Domingo is going to partner in crime his buddy, bravado, and then fails to throw out a grenade and pop some music into Chompy. Heat of battle fails the terror trek for a follow-up. Chompy is then going to regen this off, charge and smack the Grey Bow with a red joker on damage, completely obliterating him, and then the follow-up strike is going to pump 3 damage into Domingo. So that is a awful start to the turn for me. The Sapper then walks and exploits weakness to draw a card, while Delirium picks up some intel and dreams a 13. Gertie is going to fail to hit anything, so just stumbles forwards, and the Dreamer buries, and then unburies immediately. They're going to peer at Domingo, taking him down to hard to kill, before discarding the red Joker from my deck to kill him on the follow-up. They're then going to lead Chompy into Avel. So things have gone from bad to worse. The blonde bow is then going to pump some arrows into Lord Chompy Bits, getting the King's Glory to have Tull attack too, knocking the beast down to 1. But unfortunately they fail to kill with Heat of Battle. The Stitch then walks and focuses as Avel tries and fails to kill Chompy. The second Stitch runs up and dreams. Reichart decides that they're going to bring it on Lord Chompy Bits, bringing them towards them, but they fail to kill them. Teddy then runs up to the centre, and Tull strikes down and grabs some intel. End of turn 2, we have both grabbed some intel, but I'm looking a lot worse for wear. It's 1-1. Turn 3 begins with Lord Chompy regenerating and smacking Reichart for 4. And then a red Joker on the follow-up. Somehow Reichart is still alive, thanks to some stones being used and grit. Avel is then going to go and throw a Maraca at Teddy, grab some intel, and then run for his life. Unfortunately, Teddy's going to regenerate, charge down Avel, and doing 4 damage to him before flurrying 3 damage into the blonde bow. The sitting Daydream then runs up and dreams, avoiding the assault marker. Tull is going to run and grab some intel too, before forcing Chompy to retreat. The Horned Daydream is then going to run from assault marker 2, Lucid Dream, while Ethid resupplies and plinks Teddy for 1. The Dreamer buries and unburies again, leads up to the Delirium twice, and peers Tull to discard a 12 from my hand. Brilliant. Okay, so Ethel is then going to resupply here, recalibrate a marker, and then walk. Delirium is then going to charge down Tull, deliver him a message, and my Hex Bow is going to respond by shooting a barrage, but it's all unfortunately deflected. The second Stitch walks and charges my cannon, dealing 1 damage, and the Sapper is going to exploit weakness for a card and shoots Delirium. I seem to have a lot of cards for Heat of Battle, but not a lot for actually doing anything here. The next Stitch is then going to run up to Teddy and Dream, as Reichart is going to smack Chompy for 4 damage. The Bandersnatch is then going to grab some intel, make a web marker, and walk away. And the Weaver's just going to copy them, so they've got 2 intel there. They have done a lot of damage across the field here, so they are going to score Let Them Bleed, as well as the aforementioned Deliver Message, as well as grabbing intel. I have managed to grab intel myself, so it's 4-2 to the Dreamer at the end of turn 2. Already I can tell that this is going to be a tough game, and I'm just going to be grinding out for as many points as possible here. Perhaps I might have chosen the wrong schemes. Turn 4, the pressure is on, so I'm going to start with Tull and strike down, but unfortunately they're going to fail to do much at all with their grenade launcher. Big miss here, probably should have gone for intel. Teddy is going to smack Avel down hard and knock them too hard to kill, and then going to kill them up on the follow-up. They're then, depressingly here, going to eat one of their Stitch together to heal back to full health, basically denying me Let Them Bleed this turn. Brilliant. Reichart is going to fail to drop some dust for an extra attack, but does still manage to dispatch Chompy with a pair of claw strikes. Delirium manages to dream and charge the Sapper, but he's going to manage to scoot away as they miss. Gertie will resupply him and recalibrate the assault markers, trying to get them to chase down some of these Daydreams, but the Horn's just going to run away again. Ethel will resupply and deal the damage to Teddy with a bombardment, while the Dreamer buries and unburies once more, before peering at Reichart to resummon Lord Chompy Pits. He then peers at the blonde bow twice, removing the red joker from my deck again and just completely deleting him. Before the Sapper goes and pumps lead into Delirium for 2 damage. Chompy's going to respond by failing to smack Reichart. The Bandersnatch then grabs some intel, scoots out some webs again as the Widow Weaver does the same. The Sitting Dreamer runs away and lucids before the remaining Stitch Together smacks Reichart down to hard to kill. Neither of us score this round, but it's very clear here that I'm running out of models and ways to score. It's still 4-2 at the end of turn 4. Turn 5 here, the writing is a little bit on the wall and it's an up here battle here, but I'm going to try and squeeze some points out of some stones here. Delirium will start the turn by splatting the Sapper before charging into Tull. Reichardt's going to basically throw everything into the Stitch Together, killing them. So that's nice, frees up the cannon a little bit, but Teddy is going to just charge into Ethel and hit them for 1. The Horn Dream is then going to Lucid Dream and duck away from an assault marker before the other Daydream does the same. The Dreamer is then going to bury and unbury one final time to peer into Reichart, killing him, and then peer at Tull twice for 6 damage total. Discarding a card to drop a ski marker next to him. Lovely. The Widow Weaver then grabs the 3rd intel for them as Gertie heals themselves and resupplies. Perhaps the wrong cannon to heal first, as the Bandersnatch is then going to teleport to a web and dispatch the other cannon Ethel in response. Tull puts what they can into Teddy with their grenade launcher and artillery strike, which knocks them down, for me, into point scoring range. And then Gertie's going to hit Delirium for 2 damage off a trigger, which is going to be lovely. Chompy will then end the game by walking to Tull and interacting for deliver a message, as I had moved away with Tull, but obviously they've just gone and dropped another one down. So with barely a soul alive left on the field, my opponent is going to score Let Them Bleed. I think I've only got 2 models, maybe 3 left here. And obviously they're going to take the 3rd intel point here. While I'm going to grab Let Them Bleed, finally, as I managed to put Teddy and the Delirium within range. As well as by leaving the Bandersnatch alone, I am managing to claim a point on Take Prisoner here, so that's 2 points for me. My opponent is going to win this game 7-4. Well-deserved win on their part. My opponent is a fantastic player here. Lessons learned. They have a lot more experience with their crew than mine, and it's really going to show here. They're a very aggressive playstyle, and having strong regenerative attackers like Chompy and Teddy made it really hard to win a war of attrition, so maybe I probably shouldn't have chosen Let Them Bleed, even though assault markers are usually quite good for that. I often surprisingly failed attacks against Terrifying, despite having some high willpower models. Bit surprising there, but they kind of targeted the stronger models on my list early, and I overextended. Personally, for my first outing with Tull, despite having played against them, I'm fairly happy, to be honest. I'm a bit disappointed losing out with the Domingo Avel Ortega combos early. I think I probably could have squeezed more out of them, and I'm still kind of learning the threat ranges and order of activation. The crew is surprisingly fragile, so maybe I will need to bring Luiso Rocketeers maybe to add some armor, or just the good Doctor himself, or the King's Wall to add a bit more solidity to it. I was kind of going a bit more aggressive here than I needed to. Didn't really work out for me. I feel like the chain attacks can be really good, but obviously your hand's going to be filled with a lot of weaks, especially with I was drawing 3 weak cards a turn off of the Sapper and the 2 cannons. But I didn't really have the cards to really fuel off of Heat of Battle. That said, my opponent really knows their crew really well. Making 2 stitch together quite early shifted it in their favour immediately here. Very, very efficient way of playing. I want to thank Imps Gaming for hosting us once again, and my opponent for a fantastic game. If you haven't already, please subscribe and like the video, comment down below. This has been Tabletop Odyssey, lucid dreaming since 2024.